Oh, this is not proving to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. I have procrastinated this video. It is midnight almost. There are this we're gonna get into it, but this is definitely not. Uh, it was easier to say the word and to write the post than it is to actually talk about it. It's okay. So that was weird. I find that I'm very uncomfortable, and I didn't think that I would be. Say hello to my new mic. Well, it's not new. I just dug it out. But I am finding that I'm not knowing how to start these videos, so especially one like this. So I will say, welcome to another week of Shift Talk Sunday. Um, this one, I am going to be very honest with you. I am nervous. I am nervous to talk about it. I'm nervous for God. I'm about to cry already. I'm nervous for um, family to see it. I am nervous to go into it. I don't even have notes because I found that I couldn't put what I really wanted to say on paper. It's hard to you think it's easy to really talk about suicide and suicidal ideations and attempting suicide. And just because you're over it, you think it's easy to talk about it. But I'm finding that it's not. Um, so I don't have notes in front of me. I have my shift talk points, of course, and even that I just wrote down the title, um, and I have the weekly challenge for you, but I don't have my big book like I normally would, because I just wanted to, to just talk with you all. Um, so I guess I will start by introducing myself. If you don't know, my name is Shamar Latanya. I am an author, a faith-based speaker, a minister, a Christian life coach, and I am super passionate about helping women find themselves uniquely and boldly without having to be the carbon copy of somebody else. And I'm also very passionate about people, women specifically, having their own unique relationship with Christ, and that is unique and that is them, without them feeling like, again, they have to adhere to standards or other people, because God made us all unique, and if He wanted us to be like everybody else, we would have been, period. So that is what I do. I love helping women walk in confidence and walk in boldly, and just and teaching them and empowering them. I can go on and on. But in a nutshell, that is what I do. So when women come to me, typically they need to get in touch with their best selves. They want to have this relationship with Christ. They want to be their unique selves, and they're not really sure how. I got you. So that is me in a nutshell. Uh, every Sunday we are talking about different topics on Shift Talk Sunday. When you see me do this, I'm nervous. Um, and the first Sunday we talked about coming away before we come apart. I talked to you all about my sabbatical and why I went on sabbatical. Last Sunday I talked to you all about, being careful that as we grow and evolve, you know what it is that you're looking for, and that you're not searching for the negativity of the other shoe to drop. Because ultimately my goal is for you all, when you watch these and when you grow from these, is to experience the joy that I'm experiencing currently, without the back of you like, okay, what's going to happen, right? So yeah. Now, this Sunday we are talking about suicide. I have written part of my testimony when it comes to suicide, and how that was a shift for me as well. Two ways. It's a shift. The first way, it's a shift that I'm glad was not successful. I would not have wanted to shift myself into the afterlife or death that way, but it is a shift that allowed me to be here and to talk with you all about it. So I guess let's really get into it. Why I feel like this is important, because especially in the time that we are living in right now, we have so many people that are isolated, and it's getting better. People are starting to get out. Outside is open for me, and but at the same time, we still have people who have had to face their own minds, and who have had to face their own thoughts and their own shortcomings and their own demons, I would say. And when we talk about suicide, we really do have to use those aggressive terms, like, am I losing the battle with my demons? And the terminology has to be that aggressive, because for some of us, many of us do not survive suicide. Many of us, those demons that we're struggling with, they win. And we have to get really aggressive with our language, and we have to get really aggressive with how we tackle it, but not with how we deal with people. So I guess I will start with I was a little bit of my own backstory with suicide, because I can't talk to you all about suicide and you not know, why it's important to me. I have attempted suicide multiple times. I thank God that when I did attempt suicide, that the internet wasn't like this wildly popular thing. We had to, when I was coming up, internet was just being introduced, and you had to wait 30 minutes for it to dial up and everything, and then much less surfing. What? Um, so I would try and attempt suicide in the ways that I had heard about. Now, here's the funny thing: it's important that we talk to our kids. Point number one, not shift talk point, but just point number one. It's important that we talk to our kids, because back then I researched suicide by, I heard about it through watching TV. It wasn't wildly popular in TV back then either. Um, just hearing other people talk about suicide, reading about it in certain books, and I don't know, sometimes it would just pop up. That's why I say, when we talk about suicide, we really are talking about battling demons here. Nowadays, 13 Reasons Why. I hated that movie. Not gonna go there, but I really hated that movie, because I watched it with my daughter, and I taught her how to process every emotion that woman, that I forgot the girl's name, that she was feeling at the time. But it's important that we talk to our kids, because I was just finding out about, you know uh, suicide through different ways, however I could, really. Um, so there's that piece. I can't. I can give you the reasons behind each suicide attempt. The first reason, I don't know. I was a teenager, and I don't know if it was teenage angst, but I do know that I really hated everything about myself. It was, I think back on that time, and it seems so odd to me now, but I really hated myself. Like, I could not, I didn't even like looking in the mirror. I didn't like looking at pictures of me. I remember one time my grandmother caught me, I took old pictures of myself, and I cut up the pictures of myself. And I couldn't stand to look at the pictures of me. And now, mind you, now that I look back on myself, I was a really cute baby, okay? Like, I was, period. But, I want to make sure my mic is on. But I really hated myself. I had this huge hatred for myself. And hate is a strong word, but that's the only word I could think to use. Like, I had a hatred for myself. I had a disdain for myself. I didn't like looking in the mirror. I didn't like waking up in my body. I didn't like walking around as me. I didn't like existing as me. I didn't like my name. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't like any part of myself. I do remember, being a teenager, there was not one part of myself that I liked, not one. That is the best way to put it. And it's a awful feeling. There are many times, there are going to be many times during this session where I'm going to fight back tears. But it is a tough thing to not like who you are. Oh my God. To look back and see how much I hated myself, and for what reason. I don't even have tissue here. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Uh, guys, I'm trying. I'm trying. Oh, we're going to come back. Okay, we're back. I cannot promise it's not going to happen again. Um, but I cry because it makes me sad. Now there's so many parts of me that I love. It makes me sad to think about that teenage girl back then. And if I could just grab her up and say to her, yo, you need to love yourself. You know what I mean? Um, and the crazy thing about it is I had people in my life that were telling me, that would speak life into me. I had my aunt who always reminded me that I was brilliant and mature. I had my mom who I really believe did the best she could to pour into me. We as women, we are not me, my mother, we are not. We've learned to be. I'm forgetting my words, guys. We've learned to be soft with each other. We've learned to be more affectionate with each other. But at that time, we just were not affectionate with each other. We just didn't know how to be. So I think because we didn't know how to be affectionate with each other, I took it as no one loves me, and I also remember feeling that way too. I also remember feeling like maybe this world would be much better without me, or not even better. Like it just wouldn't matter if I was gone. So, the first time I tried to slit my wrist, and interestingly, that should be the easiest way to do it. I used a serrated knife and not like a razor, so I didn't really get a good cut. Part of me wonders if it's weird. It's not weird, but it's interesting. A part of me wonders if my inner spirit, the one that God had placed in me, that was fighting its way out, that knew that we would have a brighter future, was like taking over and was like, okay, we're not going to allow her to cut herself with as much force as she's trying to, and that didn't work. So eventually, I became a cutter. I would just cut different parts of myself that I knew I could hide from my mom and my grandmother. Um, although I never forget, like she was so mad at me when she found out that I was like cutting up pictures of myself. Um, so that was the first time. It was this extreme angst and desire to just not live. And the second time, the second time uh, the second time I was out on my own, living on my own, left home at 17. In a really, bad way. I always think about my mom. I always apologize to my mom for how I left home. But I was out here just renting a room and whatnot, and living and trying to figure out what's next. Uh, and that was when I had my first really bad, and we'll get there. We'll get there. I can't rush this part. But that was when I had my first really bad sexual encounter. And I remember feeling like at that time, I didn't have a good relationship with my father. Um, he was not in my life at all. That took such a mental toll on me. Yo, I am very particular about keeping my daughter around her father because the mental toll it took on me not to have my dad, it took such a mental, it was a mental toll that I did not get out of until I was at least 26, 27, maybe a few years ago. But to deal with this turmoil of me and my mom aren't affectionate, my dad is not here, so not even my dad doesn't even love me or want me, and I'm having these horrible experiences with guys because I'm not realizing at the time that I'm trying to fill that void of not having my dad. Hello, Freud. We call these things cliches, but they are real. And now I have this awful sexual experience, which was assault. It's I have gone to therapy for it, and it's still hard to say, guys. Um, and coming out of that, I remember thinking, okay, so I am literally on this earth to be not loved, to be abused. I am not here for a purpose at all, not even a little bit. Um, so I tried again. I remember being at my grandmother's house, and I thank God that this didn't work because I can't even now. I can't even imagine my grandmother having to walk in on my body. But I took a bunch of pills. I took a bunch of over the counter pills, and I just laid in the bed and something popped up on my screen. I don't know, but I just laid in the bed and I just waited. I just waited, and I remember I got violently sick. I started throwing up. I got myself to the hospital, and the doctors, there was not much I can remember. It's interesting. You remember trying to commit suicide, but you really don't remember the details of it. And I remember the doctor saying, no clue how you survived. Like, no clue. Once again, I have to. I know that there are people who do not believe in a God. But do you see why I'm so passionate about my faith? Do you see why I'm so you can't get me to shut up about what God has done for me. I have to believe there's a God because in that moment, that was a second attempt that did not work and it should have. That one should have worked and it did not work. My body literally rejected it. I have to believe that there's a God. I can't not. Um, you could use all the science you want, but even when doctors are like, we don't understand how, I have to believe that there's a God. So I made this. I thought, okay, I won't do this anymore. I will work really hard to create this life that I want. So at that point, after that suicide attempt, I got myself, together, got myself in school, started working a job, really thought I was loving myself, but I was really caught up in my looks and my body. Which, when that changes, if you're not caught up in, if you're not in love with your spirit, man, when your body changes, you're gonna have a hard time. Trust me, I know. So I started to get myself together, and this is where things get really iffy about, my marriage and being married young and having a baby young. All of this was compacted into a span of a few years. And, fast forward, I meet the man that would be the father of my child and would be my husband. And we meet, have a world war romance. We are married within 3 months. And so all within a span of 6 months, I meet this man, get married, get pregnant. Like, I guess when I do it, I do it big. Okay. Um, and the reason why it happened that fast, now thinking back on it, I have had to apologize to a lot of people. Okay. But thinking back on it, to me, that was a life I'd always wanted. I remember reading books as a little girl, wanting a two-parent household. And the funny thing is, I had one. My stepdad, for all intents and purposes, served as my dad for years. He always called me his daughter. He never called me his stepdaughter. He had been in my life. My stepdad had been in my life since I was 1 year old. So for all intents and purposes, I had a two-parent household in a big house in my own room. You know, uh, I wasn't lacking anything materially, but I still wanted, there's something about not having, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry, this is my nervous tick. There's something about not having your actual dad there, but uh, that all kind of developed into this mindset of, okay, for me to be happy, I want what I didn't have. I want to be married. My mom was married. My mom was married. I want to have a baby within a marriage. It didn't happen with me, but it certainly happened with my younger brother, But ultimately, we had this nuclear family: a mom, a dad, a daughter, a son. We even had a dog. um, but it's interesting what your own mind will make you believe if you're not careful. And so I got that with a man that I had only known for 3 months, and we had a long run. Don't get me wrong; I'm not bashing him. We had a long run. We had a good decade or so, and but what I've learned is just because you have this idea of what you want things to be doesn't mean, and you force it to happen, doesn't mean it's supposed to happen at that time. And so I still ended up unhappy. Now by this time I'm married, I have a baby, and things have changed. My body doesn't look the same. I feel like I've gotten fat. I remember being told I was fat. I mean, I just had a baby. My baby was like a baby. She was not even a year old, and I was told that I was fat. Told that I need to go on a diet. Um, and so now, and now I'm trying to figure out life as a new mom. I was only 21. New mom, 21. Uh, Newly 21 at that. I was newly 21. New mom, newly 21. Now I'm a wife. We're on this military base. I am. I have no family around me. I also have zero friends because we're on this military base. And it was around that time also that me and my then husband, we both realized we had made a mistake. but we stayed together for a long time for the sake of our daughter. Um, so the next thing, I had read somewhere that you can get alcohol poisoning and die. So I figured, great, I'll do that. And so I put my daughter to bed. And once again, I thank God, because I think, even though we didn't make it, me and my ex are very good friends, and he would have never gotten over coming in and finding his wife's body. You know, my daughter would not have remembered it, but it would have still scarred her, because, she would have grown up without a mother. She was a baby when I tried. And so I just started drinking all the alcohol that we had, all the alcohol that I could find. And once again, the only thing I remember about that night is my then husband asking me, "Why did you do this to yourself? Why did you do this to yourself?" Cry again. Try not to cry again. Wasn't even a mad, "Why did you do this to yourself?" It was a concern, "Baby, why did you do this to yourself?" So, okay, I need another minute, so we're gonna wait. Yeah, I'm tired. So that was the third time. I guess you could consider a fourth. A fourth time is the fourth. I didn't really commit it. By that time, that was the last time, because now I'm like, okay, hold on. I have a kid. I can hear the concern of my husband. He doesn't understand why I'm doing this to myself. I cannot be like this for my daughter. She is a baby right now, so she won't remember this. All my daughter knows of me now is this amazing, strong mother who is confident and assured, and who has poured that into her. That's all she knows now. Thank God. But at that point, I was like, I got to get it together, because I cannot have my daughter, I cannot be this way for my daughter. She'll never forget it. And then worse, it'll be a generational thing. So by that time, I started to get it together. Around the time of 26, 27, when my marriage was going downhill, and I was a young minister, totally messed it up the first time in ministry, totally. Um, Still unsure, and life still wasn't working out. I was getting ready for church, and I had a run in my stockings, and I was like, oh my God, if I go to church with this run in my stockings, they're going to talk about me as a minister, and I have a run in my stockings. Now, let me tell you this. Let me tell you what I have learned from that. Now, I dare not near one of y'all to talk about a run in my stockings when I'm up there preaching. I'm going to talk about the run of your life. Sorry, not still. God is still working on me. I've developed much confidence in myself as a woman of God, and it's not in how I look or what I wear. But anyways, I digress. Let me calm down. Um, so, uh, and I remember at that time thinking, you know what? I'm gonna just end it. I thought it. I didn't try it, and that's a different story. But that's when I really, really turned my life around, and made peace with the fact that my marriage wasn't going to work out, and we're going to split up and divorce, and things changed. Okay, but let's go back to these suicides. So, if you are someone who has struggled with suicide ideations, you know what I'm about to describe. If you are someone who has never struggled with it, but you have someone in your life who is, I really want you to pay close attention. We It was never because of anybody else. I had a deep hatred for my own self in my life, and I felt like I was failing everywhere. And there is this dark, hopeless hole where you feel like, I will never get out of this. I will always deal with this. So just end it now, my God. There is a desperation that things will never get better. So we just need to end this. It is it is like a dark cloud that is always around your mind. It follows you, it eats away at you, it speaks to you. And that's why I say, when people are struggling with suicide, they're really battling demons. You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to be worthy enough. You're never going to find love. You're never going to have a great life. You're never. So I might as well end it. And it is the darkest hole you could possibly be in. So when you're dealing with somebody that has suicidal tendencies, it's easy for you to get frustrated, because you see the greatness in them, and you want them to live, and you want them to have a great life, and you could say to them, how could you not want to live? You have such a great life. I'm going to tell you right now, please don't do that. It makes it worse. Because then we have the guilt of, okay, now I'm making this person mad. Why don't I like my life? Why don't I? Why can't I be like them? I'll never be like them. Do you see how that spirals? So please don't do that to the people in your life who are suicidal. Listen and ask questions. Don't judge. Don't yell. And certainly, let's really get into this part right here. Let's really get into this. Now, I'm a Christian woman, okay? Born and raised in the church. I'm a PK. My mom's a preacher. Okay, 25 years. She's been preaching for 25 years in the game strong. I am thankful that we are at a place where this no longer happens. I'm thankful that the Black church has gotten better at um, understanding therapy and therapeutic practices. But let me tell some of y'all something that still haven't gotten there. Your job is to speak life. The most awful thing you can do to someone in this position is tell them that because they're suicidal and because they're depressed, they don't have any faith. When I heard that, I was like, well, dang, now God is mad at me too. I might as well definitely end it. That is the worst thing you can possibly say. And it is definitely a how dare you moment, as if you have never had any major issues that have made you want to stop it all. You may not have wanted to commit suicide, but there have been times in all of our lives, no matter how good you are, where you have been like, yo, what is this? And saying to someone you have no faith, it is, you might as well, let's be aggressive here. You might as well have helped put the nail in their coffin. And sometimes you have helped put the nail in their coffin. I say that because I have a really good friend who went to her church leadership for help, and they said that to her, and she went home and committed suicide, and she was successful. That it still burns in my soul. It burns in my chest. It gives me an anger of a how dare you. And I remember them coming to her funeral, and I told them that exact thing. You drove her to an early grave. Your job was to speak life into her and to pour into her, and you were aggressive, and you were judgmental. And she went home thinking God doesn't love her, and she committed suicide. People in the church get really mad at me when I talk like this, because they're like, there's a low level of accountability. But the reality is, when you are a leader in church, when you are in church leadership, people do look up to you whether you like it or not, and your words matter, whether you know it or not, whether you want it to matter or not. Your words matter. Your words are life or death. Anybody's are. But when someone looks up to you, your words are life or death. Choose wisely. I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad. So yeah, I don't know what that was not. That was, y'all better take that, whoever that was for, because that was a tangent that I was not prepared for. I don't even know what I was going to say next. We got hold on y'all, because I don't know what I was going to say next. That was definitely, whew. I think we're back. So now that we have talked about this suicide and what the feelings are, let's get into some shift talk points around it, okay? Let me tell you what I have learned. Let me tell you what has worked for me. And I pray that if you are someone who has committed suicide, I back up. I pray that you are somebody who is, if you are thinking about committing suicide, or if you know someone who is suicidal, I pray that this is helpful. But how did you survive 3 major suicide attempts? And how did you get to the point where you don't do it anymore, or you don't think about it anymore? How did you get there? Okay, these are the shift talk points that we're going to get into, and I pray that it is. I pray that this saves somebody, anybody. God, let it reach somebody. Okay, so shift talk point number 1. What really helped me, and I know this will help you. This is the most important thing, okay? And I know what some of you think I'm going to say as a minister, and I am going to say that, but I also know that there are a lot of people that are watching this that are, let me just go there, okay? The first thing I'm going to say to you is therapy helps. Therapy works. please go get you a therapist. And where I was going to when I first started saying this is, as a minister, growing up in the church, we were always taught, oh, all you need is Jesus and prayer. That that is the most effective I have found. But me being in the mental health field, me having gone to school for social work and going to school for licensing and life coaching, and me having done that, I also believe that that is my gifting from God to help people through their challenge, through their life challenges. So just as you look, you can have Jesus ain't a therapist too, okay? I do, I still do, and it works. So please get yourself to therapy. Like, go. There's nothing wrong with it. I am so happy and proud of the Black community and the church. My girlfriend Keisha, she is a doc. She has a doctorate in mental health, and she goes to churches and she has these conversations, and they invite her, and I love that. I love that for us. It's giving very much. We want all of our members to be healthy all the way around, and we understand that if we can't do it, let's bring in people who can. But go to therapy, get yourself a therapist. And what I love about mental health talks these days is that we've talked about it so much and we've pushed it to the forefront that there are so many different avenues to go get mental health. There are, I mean, here in Connecticut, I would call the 211 line. So whatever info line is for your state, you can call that line. There is BetterHelp. There are so many different websites where you can get help from. There are so many different people now that are opening up their own practices. Literally, it is like at your fingertips of Google mental health help. And even if you do not have the funds for it, there are so many programs now that are allowing you to work on a sliding scale. You know, COVID really ushered that in. And because we're in the technology age, it is literally a Google, literally. Growing up, we had to find therapists and we had to have insurance for it. Now you can literally Google mental health help and it's going to give you so many different options. And so, at that time, internet was getting better. So I just started, I was first introduced to therapy through my mom. I think she had reached a point, I was such a wild, rebellious teenager, trying to commit suicide and cutting myself and skipping school. And I think she was really like, okay, there's something mentally wrong with my kid. And there was. So she brought me to therapy. I didn't stay long. I think she wanted quick solutions, and therapy does not offer now being in the mental health field, not as deeply as some. I am not a therapist. I'm a coach. There's a difference. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now, knowing that therapy takes a long time to uncover and unlearn and replant, right? So I went on the internet and I started looking for mental health help. I found groups, and through these groups online, I started finding some groups were really toxic, so be mindful of that. A lot of groups, I just want to share my camera, my mic. And I started finding therapists, and I would call around and I would listen. If they were warm and welcoming, then I would work with them. But therapy has been my key for just about everything. Right after my divorce, I ran to therapy. Girl, child. The ways in which I was in that therapy office, and I still have a therapist that I work with every other week now. And I'm a minister, and I'm clergy, and I still have a therapist. Because it's important for me to be able to unload just as much as people unload on me. I have to be able to unload to somebody else so I don't break down, right? And we're always unlearning, we're always becoming. And it's great when you have somebody that's not on the inside looking in, that's not biased, that can see you and say, okay, this is where we're going. Child therapy, they broke down my father issues. I was like, I do not have daddy issues. Boy, did I. To the point where I did not realize I was choosing men that were very much like my father without even realizing it. Like, I was dating all musicians, even my ex. And my dad is a DJ and whatnot. So I was, learning about forgiveness. And I, glory to God, me and my dad, we have a good relationship now. I'm nervous. And we check in with each other. So therapy was everything. Therapy really helped me uncover the anger that I had towards the relationship with, my dad. There were times where I would literally see red when it came to it. I remember literally seeing red. Um, and that affected me mentally in so many ways that I didn't even realize it was affecting me. Moms, dads, you are necessary. And if you are a mother and you're angry at the dad, and I'm not saying anything, I'm not, but I will put it to you like this. Everyone wonders why I didn't move back to Maryland after my divorce. And I know there are certain family members who thought my time up should have been up, but I didn't run back to Maryland because I know what it's like to not be around your dad. It's an anger inducing feeling, and I never wanted that for my daughter. So as much as people wanted me to go back to Maryland, it was not about you, it was about my kid and her being around her dad full time consistently. And she is so amazing, and I believe that had a lot to do with it. So y'all may enjoy raising y'all kids without their daddy, but not me. um so yeah, so that was therapy. Go. I am encouraging you. I am wanting you to please go to therapy and understand that as a life coach, there are so many life coaches out there now. Life coaches are not therapists. If I have a client, and I have had a client who needed more therapy, I will end the contract and I will say, please, you need therapy more than you do coaching. It is two different things. Coaching is more quick. You're kind of coming in almost ready. We're just nailing down some things. Therapy is digging into that past, digging into the mindset, digging into the psyche. Coaching is not that. So you can't get a coach to think that it's going to help you unlearn and uncover your past. You need a therapist. Two different things, okay? So that's Shift Talk point number one. Go get some help. I would say also Shift Talk point number two, and for me, they're equal. It is really important that you have your own personal, unique relationship with God outside of what everyone else tells you that should look like. And we all know that we've had this conversation many times in this sphere that, the structure of church has often done more damage than good at times because of the people that have created certain rules and regulations that don't always make sense. When I would listen to that, I remember falling under so much condemnation. But now that I have my own, get your own unique personal relationship with Christ, please. It's such a beautiful experience when you can experience God in a pure way without someone telling you blah blah blah. You gotta do this and you gotta do that. You gotta do that. Child, if you don't get out my face, bro, while I'm trying to get to Christ and save my soul and my life, like dog, if you don't leave me alone for a second, or help me get there without condemning me, pipe down, right? So get your own relationship with Christ. Make it unique. Make it your own. And I promise you, that really does begin to strengthen your faith. It begins to strengthen who you are. The reason why I don't have suicidal ideations anymore outside of maturing and growing is because I am settled in who I am and whose I am. And I know that my flaws are something that God will use to draw people to him, right? Or my flaws are something that God will use to help move my purpose along. Your flaws, I've learned that my flaws are beautiful, and that my flaws are loved. And if this amazing Alpha and Omega, this amazing loving spirit that is loving, if you had a negative experience with people, please understand, the Spirit of God is loving. If this entity could see me and all my flaws and still see perfection and still love me beyond what I could ever imagine, beyond what anybody will ever love me, man, please, you better calm down. God said I'm the apple of his eye. That's in the word, okay? God says I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And the word fearfully biblically means with a high level of respect. So come on now. God made me with a high level of respect and wonderfully, what? So that has done wonders for me. And so when I find that I'm not accepted in these spaces, she's a little too hood, she might be a little too worldly, whatever that means anymore, whatever. Because I'm not going there. But I find that when that happens and, I'm non-traditional and, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that would have broken me. And it did. Now that is like something I stand and I'm proud of it. Yep, I'm not the same. I'm not like you. I'm not going to preach like you. I'm not going to approach people like you. I'm not going to, I'm, no. And I think that that's why, I think that because I have that spirit, that's why a lot of people are drawn to me that don't necessarily go into church and won't step foot in the church, but they find themselves drawn to me because I like to do my best to exude the spirit of God in me because I now know what's settled in me. I know what's in me. And I'm not going to kill that. It's going to go when it's time to go. And I believe it'll be when I'm in my upper 90s, still fabulous. Who gonna do my nails when I'm older, y'all? Real quick, let's stop for a second. I just thought about that. Who gonna do my nails when I'm older? Somebody need to make sure that happens. If I'm gonna be in somebody's casket in my 90s, y'all better make sure my nails is done. Ebony, I don't know where you're gonna be at, but you better be around, sis. Anyways, so that's shift talk point number 2. Strengthen your faith. Really strengthen your faith. Not surface level, not fake. Really strengthen your faith. Wow, this is gonna be a long video. Shift talk point number 3. When you are I remember when you are thinking about suicide, you're not seeing what's ahead. You're only seeing right now. It is a permanent solution to temporary problems. It's a permanent solution to what could be a temporary mindset. If you start to believe that there is a hope in a future and you can see it just a little bit. Man, sometimes I'm like, God, just give me a taste of it. Let me see it just a little bit. And that's all I need to run to it. That's why we hear scriptures like, without a vision, the people perish. Because there's nothing to point towards. There's nothing to go towards. And if all you're doing is looking at what's around you, yeah, you about to falter, buddy. I would. Write the vision. Make it plain so that he who reads it may run. Because when you have that vision, you make it plain, and you read that, you can run towards that. So what's happening around you right now don't mean nothing for a second. It don't feel good, but it don't mean nothing for a second because what I see ahead of me is more important than what I'm in right now. And in order for me to get there, I can't stay here, which means I cannot die here because I've got to get there. Period. So you need to be able to find that future and understand that suicide, it's permanent. But what you're going through right now is temporary. Your mindset is temporary. It really is. Some of us have fixed mindsets. I am one of them. But you unlearn and you grow and you evolve. And then you move towards that. And if you can't see a future, my God, you better sit down. You better start praying. You better start manifesting. You better start tapping into the Spirit of God within you. You better start tapping into your own spirit. And you better start writing that thing down so you can see that. What if the future don't work out? Bad. Look, we don't know that. None of us, like, at the end of the day, we're not psychics. What if? But what if it does? You never gonna know if you don't reach there, if you don't go there. And in order for you to get there to see if it does, you have to be alive to get there. Okay? Shift talk point number 4, and I think this has to be the last because this video was already at 30 minutes before I even include this clip. So we're looking at 44 minutes here. Shift talk point number 4. Is it number 4? Shot on lost count. Hear me. Hear me very well. It gets better. It gets better. Life gets better. Life stabilizes at some point. It will, and it does. But you've got to be alive to get there. I'm trying not to cry. This is a rough video. But you've got to be alive to get there. These problems are temporary, but you have to be alive to make it through them. You are not here by accident. There is a purpose for you, but you have to be alive to find it. Or I should say, excuse me, love of God. Ugh. Most times your purpose finds you. Doing this, as you can see, we have not gotten to the Shift Talk Weekly Challenge because the video cut off and I didn't realize it. I must have really been going in. What in the... Okay, so what I was saying before everything started going haywire. The last thing I said before we get into our weekly challenge is, I basically issued a dare. You wanna know if I'm telling you the truth. You wanna know if is it really gonna get better? Does she really mean that? I dare you to stay alive to find out. I dare you to stay alive to get to allow your purpose to find you. I dare you to stay alive to get to your future and to see that hope. I dare you, and I issue that same dare to myself. And we good over here, but you gotta be alive to get there. All right, so now we're gonna get into our Shift Talk Weekly Challenge. But I just wanted to say that to you: is Shamar telling the truth? I dare you to find out. Stay alive to find out just how good life can be. Shift Talk Weekly Challenge. 3, 2, now. Okay, Shift Talk Weekly Challenge. But I make this quick because this video is already much longer than what I wanted it to be. So your weekly challenge. The first thing I want to say to you is, if you have watched this or someone has sent this to you to watch, and you feel like you need help, if you feel like you need help, you need help. Someone called me and said, I feel like I might need therapy. And I interrupted. I said, then you need therapy. Immediately, yes. If you feel like you need help, then get the help. So if you are someone who's watching this, or this was sent to you and you feel like you need therapy, the first challenge I'm going to issue to you is find yourself some help. Get the help that you need. Secondly, if you are, I'm going to make sure nothing stops. Secondly, I want to encourage you to find the beauty in your life. We have to, because if you don't, it's going to overtake you every time, and that darkness is going to come in. Find the beauty in your life every single day. I have a book somewhere, and it's a grateful book, and I write in it every single day things that I'm grateful for, and I find it. If it was a horrible day and I say, oh, I ain't got nothing to be grateful for, I make sure I find it, and I always find something. Okay? And this is a third part to the challenge. The third part of the challenge is be easy on yourself. Take it easy on yourself. You're not supposed to get this whole life thing right. Ain't no rule books to this. Yeah, we have, we call the Bible the basic instructions before leaving earth. But really, everybody struggles with something. There have been so many prophets that have been suicidal. They didn't do it. Elijah was like, please kill me. He begged God to kill him. And then God was like, no, we're not going to do that. You're going to sleep, you're going to eat, then we're going to have a conversation. Okay? So be easy on yourself. Calm down. You're not supposed to have this whole thing figured out, and you never will. And that's the beauty of it, because you're always evolving and growing. Okay? None of us is perfect. Be easy on yourself. So the 3 challenges that are rolling into one. If you are watching this and you feel like you need help, get it, you do. Period. From someone who gets help bi-weekly and who used to get it weekly. If you feel like you need help, you do. Grab it. Number 2, I want you to get a little book and write down something you're grateful for every single day. Find it. If you say you don't find something, that all the more you've got to find it. Even if it's the little things. I'm not asking you to say, hey, I parted the Red Sea. Even if it's a little thing, you find the beauty in every single day. And number 3, be easy on yourself. Okay? Lastly, I will say I was supposed to do a giveaway. We're going to extend it for the week because a few people asked for an extension for the giveaway, so we're going to do that. We're going to extend the giveaway for next week. I'm still giving away Sarah Jakes Roberts' book because I bought 2 copies, so we're going to extend that giveaway. You already know how to enter. Grab something from this video that resonated with you, post it, #ShiftTalk, tag me in it, and I will announce the giveaway winner next week. All right. So I love you all. Thank you for staying part of this long video. I'm going to eat now. This was a lot for me, and I pray that this has helped somebody. All right. So yeah, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I encourage you to download and listen to Rich Tolbert's song, I'm Alive, because there's more. I would put it in here, but YouTube be tripping with them copyrights. No, baby. So Rich Tolbert, I'm Alive. Grab it, listen to it, because there is more for you. I love you, and life will get better. I'm a testimony. I'm a living witness. Look at me. Life will get better.